Have you ever wondered why some people seem to see life more clearly? Why they move through chaos as if guided by something unseen, while the rest of us struggle to make sense of it all? Maybe you felt that pull too, the quiet thought that there must be something deeper than the noise, something beyond the endless chase for more. You're not alone. Every one of us has moments when the world feels heavy, when success feels hollow, when wisdom seems distant. But what if I told you there was once a man who held the key to that missing clarity, a man who asked for nothing except to understand? His name was Solomon, a king, a seeker, the one who could have asked for anything, riches, revenge, glory, but chose something far more dangerous, wisdom. He wanted to see truth for what it was, not what he wished it to be, and that decision changed everything. Because wisdom isn't about knowing more, it's about seeing more, seeing the patterns hidden beneath emotion, seeing what's real when everyone else is lost in illusion. Solomon's story isn't ancient, it's eternal. He stood where we stand now, surrounded by temptation, noise, distraction. But he understood something we've forgotten, that the mind without wisdom becomes a prison, and knowledge without depth becomes a weapon. He didn't seek to escape life, he sought to understand it, to find the invisible threads that tie everything together. The rise and fall, the joy and pain, the creation and collapse. He saw that life's meaning isn't found in what we collect, but in what we perceive. And maybe that's what you've been missing. You've learned the rules, followed the systems, chased the metrics of success, and yet something still feels off. There's a quiet ache, a hunger for more than answers. You don't need another routine or motivational slogan. You need sight, the kind of sight that cuts through illusion. That's what Solomon had. And it began with one simple act, he asked, not for power, not for fame, but for understanding. That request alone unlocked a truth the world still hasn't fully grasped. When you seek wisdom first, everything else begins to align. Because wisdom isn't about winning. It's about aligning with what's real. Solomon didn't ask for things. He asked to see how things work, how choices ripple, how words build or break, how pride blinds and humility opens. He discovered that wisdom is the foundation beneath every form of success, the force that turns chaos into order. It's the unseen currency of life, the one that never devalues, never fades. But wisdom has a price. It demands honesty. It demands stillness in a world addicted to motion. It asks you to listen more than you speak, to question what you believe, to face truths that might shatter your comfort. Solomon understood this. He knew that to gain understanding, you must be willing to lose illusions. And most people aren't ready for that. They want answers without introspection, results without reflection. But the truth doesn't reveal itself to the impatient. He learned that real power isn't in possession, it's in perception. You can have everything and still be blind. You can know everything and still be lost. But one glimpse of true understanding can change everything you thought you knew. That's why his words still echo across centuries. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. He wasn't preaching, he was warning, because without it, even the brightest mind becomes its own downfall. Think about that. How many times have you repeated a mistake, knowing better but doing it anyway? How often have you chased what you thought would make you happy, only to find it empty? That's the absence of wisdom, not ignorance but blindness. Solomon's gift was sight. He saw through the surface of things. He could look at desire and see consequence. He could hear words and feel intention. And that clarity made him unstoppable. You can have that too. Not his throne, not his riches, but his vision. The kind that makes you calm in storms, focused in chaos, grounded when the world shakes. The kind that transforms confusion into clarity. The kind that lets you see truth, not through the lens of fear or greed, but through understanding. This is the path Solomon walked. The path few choose because it demands more than ambition. It demands humility. But if you follow it, even a little, life starts to reveal its deeper logic. You begin to see patterns you never noticed. Lessons you once ignored begin to speak. And slowly, you realize that wisdom isn't hidden in the world, it's hidden in you, waiting for the moment you decide to see. The moment you begin to see, everything starts to change. It's subtle at first, a quiet awareness that something inside you is shifting. The noise begins to fade, and for the first time you start noticing the spaces between thoughts, the patterns hidden in your pain. That's how wisdom enters, silently, like light slipping through a crack. And once it's there, nothing looks the same again. The people you once envied start to feel small. The things you once chased lose their shine. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop running and start understanding. This is where Solomon lived, between clarity and chaos, between what the world worships and what the soul truly needs. He understood that most people aren't lost because they lack direction. They're lost because they follow maps drawn by others. Wisdom demands your own path, your own eyes, your own voice. And that's terrifying because it means letting go of everything false that once made you feel safe. But this is the price of seeing clearly, the end of illusion. Every choice you make becomes a seed, every word, a thread in the web of your life. Solomon saw that power wasn't in controlling outcomes, but in understanding cause. When you see cause, you no longer fear consequence. When you see truth, you no longer bow to fear. That's why wisdom makes you dangerous, not because it gives you power over others, but because it frees you from the power they have over you. No manipulation can touch the one who sees through it. No temptation can rule the one who understands its cost. But this is where most people stop. They want wisdom to make life easier. Solomon knew it would do the opposite. It strips you bare. It reveals everything you've been avoiding. It shows you who you are when no one's watching. It doesn't comfort you. It confronts you. Yet that's where real transformation begins. Because when you face what's true, the lies lose their grip. And when the lies die, you become unstoppable. The greatest enemy of wisdom isn't ignorance, it's pride. Pride blinds faster than darkness. It whispers, I already know. It makes you deaf to truth and resistant to growth. Solomon warned of this over and over because he felt it sting himself. Even the wisest can fall when pride enters the heart. The moment you believe you're above correction, your fall has already begun. The world doesn't need more brilliance, it needs more humility. Wisdom lives where ego dies. Still, the pursuit never ends. Solomon discovered that the deeper he looked, the more he realized how little he knew. That realization didn't crush him, it freed him. Because true wisdom isn't certainty, it's surrender. It's the ability to stand in mystery and still move forward. To trust that understanding unfolds as you walk, not before you begin. The proud demand answers before acting. The wise act with faith, knowing clarity will follow. And isn't that what you've been searching for? Not just success, but meaning. Not just direction, but peace. You don't need to escape your life. You need to see it. The wisdom you seek isn't buried in ancient texts or sacred halls. It's waiting in your silence, your stillness, your willingness to listen. Every pain has taught you. Every failure has shaped you. Every moment has been whispering the same truth Solomon once heard. Understanding is never given. It's earned. So stop waiting for the perfect time. There isn't one. Stop doubting your worth. You've already been chosen for more than survival. You were meant to awaken, to see as he saw, to perceive the hidden structure beneath your chaos, to rise, not because the path is easy, but because you finally realize that wisdom isn't the absence of struggle. It's the mastery of it. You have the same choice Solomon once faced, to live blind, chasing what fades, or to see clearly and walk in truth. One path gives you comfort. The other gives you power. One ends in emptiness. The other begins in understanding. The world will keep screaming for your attention. But wisdom whispers. It asks for quiet. It waits for the moment you decide to stop running. When you finally listen, when you truly see, you'll understand what Solomon meant when he said, all else is vanity. Because once you have wisdom, you stop chasing shadows. You start creating light. You stop asking for more, and instead you begin to become more. And that's when everything shifts. That's when the world starts to move in rhythm with you, not because you control it, but because you finally understand it. And once you understand, you can never go back. The world doesn't look the same when your eyes are open. Every distraction feels louder. Every lie feels heavier. You You start to see how much of life is built on illusion, how easily truth is traded for comfort, how silence is drowned out by noise. But in that clarity, something awakens, a strength, a purpose. You realize you were never meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to rise above it. Wisdom doesn't make you separate, it makes you sovereign. It gives you the power to think when others react, to stay calm when others collapse. Solomon carried that power, but even he faced the weight of it, because wisdom is not gentle. It exposes. It holds up a mirror and forces you to see every false story you've believed. It doesn't hand you peace, it hands you truth, and then asks, what will you do with it? That's where greatness begins. Not in the moments you're praised, but in the moments you're tested, when you have every reason to give up, yet you choose to stand, when you could take the easy path, yet you walk the narrow one instead. That's the moment the world begins to respect you, not for what you have, but for what you know. The wise don't move faster, they move deeper. While others rush to chase what's visible, the wise build what lasts. They understand that the loudest voices fade, but the quiet truth endures. That's the real secret Solomon carried, the power to build something eternal in a world obsessed with temporary things. He watched men rise and fall, kingdoms built and destroyed, and still, he saw one truth remain: without wisdom, everything crumbles. With it, even ashes can rebuild empires. But here's the danger. Wisdom isn't inherited, it's chosen. You can't fake it, you can't buy it, you can't pretend to have it while living blind. It demands your full attention. It asks you to question everything you've been told, to look beneath the surface of your desires, to stop chasing what feels good and start pursuing what is right. That's the hardest work a person can do. To turn inward, to confront themselves, to strip away the layers until only truth remains. That's what Solomon did. That's what every person who ever found clarity had to do. And maybe that's why you're here. Because deep down, you're tired of the noise. Tired of pretending everything's fine when your soul knows something's missing. You don't need more information. You need revelation. You need to see what's been hidden in plain sight. That the wisdom you seek has been calling your name since the beginning. It's been waiting for you to stop running, to be still, to listen. It's been whispering every time you felt lost, every time something inside you said, there must be more than this. That whisper was truth. That was your invitation to awaken. But wisdom doesn't chase, it waits. And time is running out. Every day you spend ignoring it, you drift further from your power, further from your purpose. The world is filled with people who had potential but lacked understanding, who had ambition but no direction. Don't become one of them. The difference between a life that fades and a life that lasts is not talent, it's vision. Solomon saw farther because he looked deeper. He ruled because he understood. He understood because he listened. Now it's your turn to listen, to stop chasing and start seeing, to stop reacting and start building. The world needs fewer followers and more thinkers, fewer voices and more visionaries. And that starts with you right now. The same wisdom that guided kings, that built nations, that outlived empires, it's waiting for you. You don't need permission. You don't need a title. You just need to decide. Decide to seek what's real. Decide to value understanding above everything else. Decide to stop chasing shadows and start walking in light. Because the moment you do, everything changes. Fear loses its hold. Confusion fades. The noise quiets. You start to move with purpose, speak with clarity, live with power. That's the life Solomon saw. That's the life you were meant to live. Wisdom is not somewhere out there. It's within you, waiting to be claimed, waiting for courage, waiting for truth, waiting for you to see what's always been there. The moment you open your eyes, the moment you truly understand, you'll realize you were never searching for wisdom. Wisdom was searching for you. Once you realize wisdom has been searching for you, the question becomes, will you answer? Because it won't wait forever. The world moves fast, and every distraction is designed to pull you away from your purpose. Every scroll, every noise, every fear is meant to keep you asleep. But you're not here by accident. Something inside you is stirring, something ancient. It's the same force that spoke to Solomon, the same spark that made him ask for understanding instead of gold. It's been calling you quietly, asking if you're ready to see beyond the surface. And when you finally say yes, everything shifts. You begin to see how deeply the world feeds on blindness. You start noticing how comfort has become the new cage, how success has become the new trap. The powerful truth is this: most people aren't truly living. They're surviving, repeating patterns that keep them small. They think they're choosing, but they're following. They think they're free, but they're chained by what they fear losing. Wisdom breaks those chains. It doesn't just open your eyes, it burns away everything that keeps you from seeing. That's why so few ever seek it, because truth demands transformation. Transformation hurts. It strips away the false layers you've built to feel safe. It tears down the walls you've used to protect yourself from truth. But that's where your real power begins. The moment you stop running from pain and start learning from it, you start to rise. Every scar becomes a teacher. Every mistake becomes a message. Solomon learned this through loss, through heartbreak, through failure. His wisdom wasn't born in peace, it was forged in fire. And so will yours be. You can't gain true understanding without walking through the shadows of yourself. You may think you've gone too far, failed too often, broken too much. You haven't. Every fall was preparation. Every delay was direction. Every silence was shaping you for this moment. Wisdom doesn't arrive when life is easy. It arrives when everything else stops working. When you've tried every path and none of them lead where you hoped. That's when understanding begins to whisper, now you're ready. Ready to stop chasing the world and start listening to your soul. The truth is, wisdom doesn't change what you face. It changes how you face it. You stop seeing obstacles as punishment and start seeing them as instruction. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift alone can rewrite your entire life. Because the moment you decide to learn, instead of escape, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of life and start becoming a student of it. That's where Solomon stood, between pain and perspective, between despair and discovery. He realized the world doesn't need more control. It needs more understanding. You were never meant to wander blind. You were meant to build, to create, to lead with clarity. But clarity demands sacrifice. The sacrifice of your comfort, your fear, your pride. You can't hold on to blindness and still expect to see. You have to let go of what no longer serves you. The relationships that drain you, the beliefs that limit you, the habits that silence your potential. Wisdom requires space, and sometimes that means clearing away what once felt like home. But when you do, when you finally make room for truth, it fills you like light flooding a dark room. The danger isn't in failing, it's in never waking up. The tragedy isn't in falling, it's in refusing to learn. Wisdom isn't about perfection. It's about perception. It's about being willing to look again, to see differently, to keep growing even when it hurts. That's what separates the wise from the lost. The lost repeat, the wise reflect, the lost react, the wise respond. So ask yourself, what are you becoming? Every thought is shaping you. Every choice is a step toward blindness or clarity. You can keep waiting for someone to show you the way, or you can become the one who sees it first. That's what Solomon did. He didn't just find wisdom, he became it. His mind became the mirror of truth. His heart became the vessel of understanding. You have that same spark, the same potential, the same calling, and it's waiting for your answer. Don't silence it this time. Don't shrink when truth knocks. Let it in. Let it burn away what isn't you. Because on the other side of that fire is freedom. The kind of freedom that can't be bought, can't be stolen, can't be broken. The kind of freedom that comes only to those who finally decide to see. Freedom begins the moment you stop pretending, the moment you stop chasing what everyone else calls success and start asking yourself what truly matters. The world will tell you to climb faster, to collect more, to stay busy. But deep down, you know it's a trap. You felt it. The quiet emptiness that follows every achievement, the fleeting satisfaction that fades before you can even celebrate. Solomon knew it too. He built everything men could dream of, yet he stood at the top and said, all is vanity, because he learned what most never do. When you build your life on illusions, even victory feels hollow. That's the truth you can't escape. You can't fill your soul with things that don't feed it. You can't silence that voice inside that keeps whispering, this isn't it. Wisdom begins when you stop running from that voice and start listening. It's not there to shame you. It's there to wake you, to remind you that you were made for something more than survival, more than approval, more than the endless race for validation. You were made to see, to create, to live with understanding. But to reach that level of awareness, something inside you must die. The part that clings to comfort, the part that fears change, the part that would rather stay blind than face truth. That's the same battle Solomon faced, the war between the man he was and the wisdom he was becoming. And every choice either strengthens one or starves the other. Every day you hesitate, the illusion grows stronger. Every day you act in truth, the wisdom within you grows louder. This isn't theory, it's transformation. And the cost of not changing is far greater than the pain of growth, because the world doesn't stay still, it moves. Every moment you delay, you drift further from who you were meant to be. You start living on autopilot, repeating yesterday until it becomes your forever. That's how people die before their time. Not in body, but in spirit. They trade their vision for distraction, their purpose for comfort. Solomon watched entire generations rise and fall because they refused to understand. They built monuments to their egos and called it progress. But wisdom doesn't build to be seen, it builds to last. You can't afford to waste another day blind to your own potential. You've already seen too much, felt too much to go back to pretending you don't know what's missing. You know, that's why you're here. That's why something inside you won't rest. Because you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to break through. You were meant to stand where truth meets action and say, I choose to see. That's the beginning of mastery. The moment your life stops reacting and starts aligning. But alignment doesn't come from chance. It comes from courage. The courage to confront the parts of yourself that keep you small. The courage to admit that wisdom requires letting go of the person you were, so you can become who you're meant to be. Solomon learned that power without wisdom destroys, but wisdom turns power into purpose. You have that same potential burning inside you, waiting to be directed, waiting to be awakened. And once it's awake, it doesn't settle for average, it transforms everything it touches. Every fear you face becomes fuel. Every setback becomes structure. Every loss becomes a lesson. That's what Solomon saw. That nothing in life is wasted once wisdom takes hold. The moments that broke you become the foundation that builds you. The pain that silenced you becomes the truth that frees you. The very things you thought would end you are the things that prepare you to rise. So rise. Not tomorrow, not someday, now, because the world doesn't need another voice echoing the noise. It needs clarity. It needs truth. It needs someone who sees beyond appearances and acts with purpose. That someone is you. The same fire that burned in Solomon burns in you. The same divine understanding that shaped kings is reaching for you now. Don't let it fade. Don't trade it for comfort. Step into it fully. Live like you were meant to live, with wisdom in your heart, vision in your eyes, and truth in every breath. Because when you do, the world changes. And so do you. The moment you choose to rise, the world will test you. It will throw storms at your feet and doubts in your mind. It will whisper that you're not ready, that you don't have what it takes, that wisdom is for others, not for you. But those voices aren't truth. They're echoes of fear, desperate to keep you from awakening. Because once you see, once you understand, you can't be controlled anymore. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop chasing meaning and start embodying it. That's what makes wisdom dangerous. It frees you. And freedom terrifies the world. You'll feel resistance the moment you begin to change. People will question you. Circumstances will shake you. Old habits will call you back. But remember this, Solomon didn't gain wisdom in peace. He gained it in pressure. The heat that breaks the weak forges the wise. The very trials that feel designed to destroy you are the ones that refine you. Every obstacle is an invitation to see differently. Every loss is a doorway to understanding. If you run from them, you remain blind. But if you face them, you gain sight. Wisdom doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in confrontation. It forces you to look into the mirror and meet the version of yourself you've been avoiding. The insecure one, the angry one, the proud one. And it doesn't tell you to run, it tells you to listen. Because hidden in those flaws are your lessons. Hidden in those wounds are your greatest strengths. Solomon learned that true understanding begins the moment you stop pretending to be perfect. The wise don't hide from their shadows. They use them as maps. And that's where your breakthrough begins, the moment you stop blaming the world and start learning from it. The moment you stop asking for an easier path and start demanding stronger vision. That's when everything begins to move. Because the universe doesn't respond to fear, it responds to clarity. When you know who you are, when you know what you stand for, life begins to align. Opportunities appear where confusion once lived. The noise fades. The fog lifts. You start to move like someone who knows where they're going because now you do. But the deeper you go, the greater the test. Wisdom will ask you to choose truth even when it costs you comfort. It will ask you to walk away from what no longer serves you, even if it breaks your heart. It will ask you to stand alone when everyone else follows the crowd. That's the weight of seeing clearly. You can no longer lie to yourself. You can no longer pretend you don't know better. Solomon understood that clarity is both a blessing and a burden, but it's the only way to live free. Most people trade wisdom for distraction because it's easier to stay blind than to face what must change. But blindness has a price. It robs you of time. Every moment you spend avoiding truth is a moment you could have been becoming who you're meant to be. Don't let your potential expire in comfort. Don't let fear write your story. You've already survived enough to know you can handle the truth. You've already felt the pull towards something higher. Don't silence it. Feed it. Let it grow until it becomes stronger than your doubt. This is your turning point. The moment you stop asking for signs and start becoming one. The moment you stop waiting for direction and realize you are the direction. Solomon didn't just receive wisdom, he embodied it. He became the example of what understanding looks like in motion. His life was proof that wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about walking with clarity through what you don't know. That's where strength is born. So step into it. Step into the fire of truth and let it burn away everything that keeps you small. Let it refine you, not define you. Let it teach you, not break you. You are not here to live halfway. You are not here to echo noise. You are here to carry light, to see the world as it is, and still choose to create something better. That's what Solomon understood. That's the secret that outlived his kingdom. The world may forget your name, but it will never forget your wisdom if you dare to live it. The fire of truth doesn't destroy the worthy. It reveals them. Every flame that touches you has a purpose. Every challenge, every betrayal, every sleepless night is shaping you into someone the world can't break. That's the hidden wisdom Solomon carried. Growth is never gentle. You're being stretched, not punished. You're being refined, not rejected. The pressure you feel isn't the end. It's proof that something greater is being born inside you. Every moment you survive adds another layer of strength, another ounce of clarity. The pain that once made you doubt yourself becomes the very fuel that drives you forward. But wisdom demands that you stay awake in the fire, that you don't turn away when the truth burns. Because that's when most people quit, when it starts to hurt, when the illusions start to fall apart. They step back into comfort, thinking they've escaped the pain, not realizing they've escaped their own becoming. Don't do that. Stay. Endure. Watch the false fall away until all that remains is what's real. That's how the wise are made, not by chance, but by choice. The choice to face the flame instead of fleeing from it. You already feel it, don't you? The pull towards something higher. The awareness that you can't keep living halfway. It's no longer about what you want. It's about who you're meant to be. Solomon's wisdom wasn't just words. It was transformation in motion. He understood that knowing the truth means you can no longer live in the lie. The second you see clearly, you have to act differently. You have to rise. Because to see and not change is to choose blindness all over again. The cost of awakening is responsibility. Once you know, you can't unknow. Once you see, you can't unsee. That's the burden and the beauty of wisdom. It demands alignment. Your actions must match your awareness. Your words must reflect your understanding. That's why so few walk this path. because it's easier to talk about truth than to live it. It's easier to sound wise than to be wise. But you're different. You wouldn't still be here if you weren't ready. Something in you knows this is your time, not someday, not later, now. Every moment you hesitate, the old world tightens its grip. The longer you wait, the more the noise wins, but the instant you decide, truly decide, the universe shifts, doors open, paths reveal themselves, the fog clears. That's not magic, it's alignment. When your soul commits, the world responds. That's the wisdom Solomon walked in. He didn't wait for certainty. He moved with conviction. He knew that faith is not blindness, it's deeper sight. Look around you. The world is starving for people who can see clearly, for minds unshaken by trends, for hearts unbent by fear. You have the chance to be that person, to be the calm in the storm, to be the one who understands when everyone else panics. That's what wisdom gives you. Stability in chaos, clarity in confusion, strength in weakness. It's not about being perfect. It's about being awake. Because once you're awake, you become the example others didn't know they needed. The wise don't chase influence. They embody truth. And truth attracts everything it needs. That's the secret Solomon left behind. Stop chasing, start becoming. The world bends for the one who stands in understanding. The universe listens to the one who listens first. You were born with that same ability. It's been sleeping under your fear, waiting for your courage to speak. So speak. Choose truth even when it costs you. Choose vision even when it isolates you. Choose purpose even when it scares you. That's how kings are born. That's how leaders rise. Wisdom doesn't shout. It moves quietly through those who dare to live it. Let it move through you. Let it remake you. Let it strip away everything false until you become what you were always meant to be. Someone who doesn't just see the light, but is the light. This is your moment. The world doesn't need another follower. It needs a seer, a thinker, a builder of truth. That's you. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Step into the wisdom that's been waiting for you. Let it guide your choices. Let it sharpen your vision. Let it make your life a testament to what's real. Because the secret wisdom of Solomon was never hidden. It was simply waiting for the one brave enough to live it. The moment you choose truth over comfort, everything begins to shift. The illusions you once lived by start to crumble, and at first it feels like loss. But that loss is sacred. It's clearing space for the life you were meant to live. The old version of you, the one that doubted, hesitated, and feared, can't walk where you're going. Wisdom requires letting go of what no longer fits your becoming. That's the price of evolution. You can't hold on to smallness while reaching for greatness. You can't cling to noise while seeking clarity. The universe won't let you stay in between. You either rise or you repeat. And every second you delay that rise, something inside you fades just a little more. This is the silent war Solomon spoke of. Not between people, but within the self. Between the voice that says stay safe and the one that whispers step forward. Between fear and faith. Between what's familiar and what's true. The wise win this war not with force, but with awareness. They understand that every fear is a test. Every hesitation is a gate. You either walk through it or you stay trapped behind it, convincing yourself that the prison is protection. But you were never meant to live behind walls. You were meant to walk in power, to think clearly, to see beyond appearances. Wisdom doesn't come from age, it comes from awakening. It comes from the decision to look at your life with unflinching honesty, to admit what isn't working, to face the patterns you've been avoiding. Most people never do this. They bury truth under distractions, under busyness, under noise. But not you. Something in you already knows that comfort is the enemy of transformation. You weren't born to coast. You were born to conquer the chaos within and turn it into clarity. There's a moment right before the breakthrough where everything feels like it's falling apart. That's how the soul expands. It's the storm before wisdom. It's the test before alignment. Solomon's secret wasn't that he had answers. It's that he asked the right questions. He didn't chase success. He sought understanding. He knew that when you understand, you no longer chase, you attract, you no longer beg, you build, you no longer react, you lead. That's the real power of wisdom. It turns reaction into response, confusion into vision, survival into purpose. And purpose is where peace lives. Not the peace that comes from avoidance, but the peace that comes from knowing, from trusting, from standing tall in the middle of uncertainty and saying, I am not afraid. Because once you've tasted truth, fear loses its power. You stop needing validation. You stop seeking permission. You start walking with quiet authority, the kind that can't be shaken by opinion or circumstance. That's what Solomon understood. The one who governs themselves becomes untouchable. But this understanding demands action. You can't just hear these words, you have to live them. You have to start making choices that match your clarity. Let go of the habits that dull your mind. Distance yourself from voices that pull you back into confusion. Protect your peace like it's your throne, because it is. Every distraction you overcome, every doubt you silence, every truth you honor builds your inner kingdom. And from that place, you stop being ruled by the world. You begin to rule your world. There's no shortcut to this kind of strength. It's built in silence, in solitude, in the moments when no one's watching. That's where wisdom is born, in the quiet spaces between decisions. And when it finally takes root in you, you won't have to prove anything. You'll speak less but mean more. You'll move slower but achieve faster. You'll understand what others can't see, and that will be your advantage. So rise now. Don't wait for perfect timing. It doesn't exist. Don't wait for the fear to vanish. It won't. Move anyway. Choose wisdom over noise. Choose depth over distraction. Choose truth over comfort. You've carried too much potential to die ordinary. You're being called to rise not later but now. The same power that guided Solomon lives within you. It's been waiting for this moment, for your decision. Step into it. Let it consume your hesitation. Let it rebuild your vision. And when you do, the world will recognize what you've known all along, that you were never ordinary. You were chosen to see what others ignore. You were born to lead with wisdom. The world doesn't reward the loudest voice. It rewards the one that sees what others can't. Solomon understood this. His strength wasn't in his power. It was in his perception. He saw beyond appearances, beyond emotion, beyond the surface of things. That's the kind of sight that changes lives, the kind that allows you to stay calm when everyone else is falling apart, the kind that turns confusion into strategy. That's what you've been craving all along. Not more information, but clarity. Because once you see clearly, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop asking for permission and start walking in purpose. But clarity comes with a cost. It demands that you question everything you once believed. It asks you to confront the parts of yourself that have been hiding behind excuses. It's not easy to face the truth that you've settled, that you've played small, that you've let fear dictate your choices. Yet that confrontation is sacred. It's the birthplace of wisdom. You can't rise until you admit where you've been kneeling. You can't lead until you've learned to follow the truth within you. Every breakthrough starts with brutal honesty. Every transformation begins with a reckoning. You feel it right now. The tension between who you are and who you could be. That friction isn't failure. It's awakening. It's your soul rejecting mediocrity. It's the divine within you saying, enough. You've waited long enough for someone to save you. Long enough for the perfect moment. Long enough for signs. The sign is already here. It's this feeling burning in your chest as you listen. It's the knowing that your future is being shaped by the choices you make in silence. The time for hesitation is over. The time for half-hearted effort is done. This is the line in the sand, the moment your destiny demands action. The truth is, most people never get here. They stop just before the breakthrough. They choose comfort over calling, safety over soul. But not you. You've been tested too deeply to go back. You've seen too much to pretend you don't know. That's why you're hearing this now, because wisdom doesn't shout to the world, it whispers to the ready. And you are ready. The pain, the confusion, the waiting, it was never punishment, it was preparation. Every delay was aligning you. Every struggle was strengthening you. You weren't falling behind, you were being built. Now it's time to move with intention. Every decision from here on must serve your higher purpose. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Stop giving access to people who drain your vision. Stop settling for routines that keep you dull. Stop apologizing for wanting more. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, to build, to lead. Solomon's wisdom wasn't just divine, it was disciplined. He understood that greatness isn't found in a moment of inspiration, but in a lifetime of alignment. You can't think like everyone else and expect to rise above them. Discipline is the bridge between knowing and becoming. Every wise decision you make builds momentum. Every distraction you deny adds to your power. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Keep walking, even when no one understands your path. Keep trusting, even when you can't see the outcome. The unseen work is what separates kings from the crowd. Every small act of integrity, every quiet decision to stay true when it would be easier to compromise, those are the bricks that build your kingdom. And when that kingdom stands, it won't just be made of achievements. It'll be built on wisdom, the kind that can't be shaken, the kind that sustains you when the applause fades, the kind that leads generations after you're gone. Because legacy isn't about what you have, it's about what you leave behind in others. That's the power Solomon carried, and it's the same power waking up inside you now. So stand tall. Don't wait for the world to recognize you. Become undeniable. Let your choices speak louder than your words. Let your growth silence every doubt. The wisdom you've been searching for isn't out there. It's within you, waiting to be lived. Every step you take in truth, every moment you choose clarity over comfort, every time you rise when you could have stayed down, you embody the wisdom of kings. You don't need to seek Solomon's crown. You were born to wear your own. Power doesn't begin when others believe in you. It begins the moment you believe in yourself. That's the truth Solomon lived by. He didn't wait for validation. He didn't wait for signs or applause. He moved with certainty because his foundation was within. That's where real wisdom lives. Not in books, not in opinions, but in the quiet conviction that your life has meaning beyond what the world can see. And that conviction has been stirring in you all along. You've just been taught to doubt it, to question your own knowing, to silence the voice that was guiding you, but not anymore. This is the moment you reclaim it. The world will try to distract you with noise. It will tempt you to trade your calling for comfort, your vision for approval. But wisdom whispers a different truth. Peace doesn't come from pleasing others. It comes from obeying your purpose. Every time you choose truth over convenience, you rise a little higher. Every time you say no to what weakens you, you strengthen your soul. That's how kings are made. Not in the spotlight, but in the silence where no one's watching. That's where character is forged. That's where power is born. You already know what you need to do. You've known for a long time. That dream you've been hiding, that idea you've been afraid to chase, that voice that keeps calling you back to what matters, that's not random. That's divine instruction. The longer you ignore it, the heavier the weight becomes. Because deep down your spirit knows when it's being wasted, and every moment you delay is a moment of your potential dying in silence. But the second you act, the second you take that first step, everything shifts. The fear that once controlled you loses its hold. The chaos that clouded your mind starts to clear. You realize that all along the power wasn't waiting for permission, it was waiting for decision. Solomon's wisdom wasn't just in his words, it was in his choices. He understood that wisdom without action is illusion. Knowledge means nothing if it doesn't move you. You can read every book, hear every truth, but until you live it, it's just noise. The wise don't just understand, they embody. They turn insight into transformation. They take what others talk about and make it real. And that's your next step. Stop collecting inspiration. Start creating evidence. Let your life become the proof of what you believe. The most powerful people in history weren't the loudest. They were the most aligned. They didn't chase opportunities. They attracted them. Because the moment you move with clarity, the universe moves with you. Every door that once seemed locked begins to open. Every obstacle becomes an invitation to grow. That's not coincidence, it's consequence. The world responds to energy, and wisdom gives yours direction. It sharpens your vision, aligns your steps, and multiplies your results. That's why the wise never panic. They prepare. They don't wait for luck. They walk with purpose. And purpose will test you. It will strip away what isn't essential. It will isolate you until you learn to hear your own voice. It will demand that you outgrow who you once were. That's how greatness forms, through resistance. Every trial is shaping you into something unshakable. Every delay is building your patience. Every failure is carving out your strength. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. The pressure you feel is proof that something powerful is forming inside you. But you can't carry old habits into a new season. You can't reach higher while holding on to what keeps you small. The same mindset that got you here won't take you further. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go of the fear of starting over. Let go of the version of you that survives so you can become the one who leads. Solomon knew this. Wisdom and attachment can't coexist. You can't receive clarity while clinging to confusion. You can't hold truth in one hand and fear in the other. You must choose. And when you do, everything changes. The noise fades. The path clears. You no longer question your worth. You walk in it. You no longer beg for direction. You become the compass. That's the secret Solomon carried. Wisdom doesn't just change what you know. It changes who you are. And when you become wisdom in motion, the world can't ignore your presence. You stop chasing your purpose because you've already become it. You stop searching for meaning because you are living it. That's the moment you ascend, not as a king of people, but as a master of self. When you finally begin to live with wisdom, you stop moving out of fear and start moving with purpose. Every decision sharpens. Every step becomes intentional. You begin to feel it, the shift from chaos to clarity, from reaction to creation. The noise that once pulled you apart starts to fade, replaced by something deeper, quieter, unshakable. That's what Solomon discovered. Peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of understanding. The wise don't escape the storm. They master it. They learn to stand still while the world spins. That's power. That's presence. That's what you're building right now, even if you can't see it yet. But wisdom demands courage. It will ask you to stand alone, to walk away from the crowd, to trust yourself when no one else does. That's the cost of clarity. It isolates before it elevates. You'll lose people who no longer align with where you're going. You'll outgrow environments that once felt like home. You'll shed identities that once defined you. And that will hurt. Growth always does. But every loss is a hidden blessing. Every ending is an initiation. You're not being abandoned. You're being advanced. You're being called to lead yourself, to embody the truth you once only admired in others. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the old version of you whispers that you're not ready, not worthy, not capable. But doubt is the final test before destiny. It's the mind's way of asking, do you really believe this? That's when you must answer with action. Because wisdom isn't proven by what you say. It's revealed by what you do when no one's clapping. Every step you take in silence builds a foundation that noise can't destroy. The world may not see your progress, but it will feel your transformation. And when that transformation takes hold, you'll begin to see differently. You'll stop chasing validation because you'll understand that true power is quiet. You'll stop explaining yourself because you'll realize that wisdom doesn't argue. It observes. You'll stop fighting for attention because you'll see that light doesn't compete with darkness, simply shines. That's when you become dangerous, not to others, but to limitation itself. Because once you've tasted your own strength, no one can convince you to shrink again. Solomon's secret wasn't wealth or status, it was awareness. He knew that understanding is the highest form of power, not control over others, but mastery over self. When you master your emotions, your choices, your focus, the world bends differently around you. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a creator of outcomes. You begin to attract opportunities, not because of luck, but because of alignment. Everything that once felt out of reach starts moving toward you because your energy has shifted. You're no longer operating from lack. You're operating from truth. But don't mistake this for ease. Wisdom won't make life softer. It will make you stronger. It will make you aware of your patterns, your fears, your triggers. It will show you every place you've settled for less than your potential. And once you see, you can't unsee. That's the burden of the awakened. But it's also their blessing. Because from that moment, You can no longer live in mediocrity. You begin to crave purpose more than comfort. You start choosing alignment over approval. You stop running from your calling and start running toward it. The world will try to distract you with illusion, with quick success, shallow praise, easy comfort. But remember this, wisdom will always outlast the noise. The one who understands will always outshine the one who only performs. Don't trade depth for attention. Don't sell truth for applause. Stay rooted in what's real, even when it's quiet. Especially when it's quiet, because that's where the wise are formed. And when your time comes, you won't need to announce it. Your presence will speak for you. Your peace will command respect. Your actions will echo louder than any title ever could. That's what Solomon knew. The crown doesn't make the king. Wisdom does. And now, that same wisdom is rising in you. It's shaping your words, refining your focus, awakening your purpose. Don't resist it. Let it transform you completely. Because once you embody it, your life stops being a search for meaning. It becomes the meaning itself. There comes a point when wisdom stops being something you admire and becomes something you live. That's when everything changes. You stop chasing moments of clarity and start embodying them. You begin to move differently, not faster, but deeper. Every decision becomes intentional. Every word carries weight. You start to notice how powerful silence is, how valuable restraint can be, how unshakable peace feels. That's when you realize what Solomon meant when he said that understanding is better than gold. Because while wealth can buy comfort, only wisdom can build legacy. Only wisdom can give meaning to everything you fought through. But to reach that place, you must surrender the illusion of control. You must stop trying to force outcomes and start aligning with truth. That's what the wise understand. Power doesn't come from fighting the storm. It comes from flowing through it. It comes from knowing when to act and when to wait. It's not weakness to pause. It's mastery. Every great leader, every enlightened soul, every wise king learned to be still when others panicked. That's how clarity speaks. It whispers in the spaces where the mind grows quiet. And when you finally hear it, when you finally trust it, you begin to move with divine timing. No rushing, no fear, just certainty. That certainty is what separates the wise from the restless. The restless react to life. The wise respond. The restless seek approval. The wise seek alignment. The restless cling to control. The wise trust the process. You can feel the difference inside yourself right now. The pull between the chaos of the world and the calm you're building within. That pull is the test. It's asking, which voice will you follow? Because the one you feed will define your future. Every thought, every choice, every moment is shaping the next version of you. You can't afford to live unconsciously anymore. Too much depends on your awareness. The people who will come after you, the lives your courage will influence, the doors your strength will open, they're all waiting for you to wake up fully. This isn't just about you. It never was. Solomon's wisdom wasn't meant to die with him. It was meant to ripple through time, carried by those brave enough to live it. That's what you're doing now, continuing that ripple. Every moment of clarity you claim becomes a light for someone else lost in confusion. Every fear you overcome gives permission for someone else to rise. But here's the truth few can face. Wisdom demands sacrifice. You can't keep everything and expect to grow. Some things must burn for your vision to breathe. Comfort, ego, false attachments, they all have to go. It will hurt, yes, but the pain of transformation is the proof that you're alive. It's the proof that something divine is moving through you. And once you let go of what's false, you make room for what's real. That's when wisdom stops being philosophy and becomes freedom. Freedom to think clearly. Freedom to love deeply. Freedom to walk without fear of losing anything because nothing real can be lost. That's what Solomon understood when he asked not for riches or revenge, but for understanding. He knew that with wisdom, everything else would follow. That's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing, you start attracting. The moment you stop clinging, you start receiving. The world bends toward the one who walks in truth. You can feel it already. The shift happening inside you. The noise doesn't hit the same. The fear doesn't stick like it used to. Something in you has awakened, something that can't go back to sleep. That's the beginning of mastery. The moment when you realize that the answers were never out there, They were waiting for you to become still enough to hear them. You are not searching anymore. You are remembering. So keep walking with your head high and your heart steady. You don't need to rush because the wise know time serves those who serve truth. Stay faithful to the process. Guard your peace. Move with purpose. Let your presence become your power. And when you speak, speak with the authority of someone who has seen beyond illusion, because that's who you are now. Not a seeker, but a vessel of understanding. The wisdom of Solomon didn't end with him. It lives through you now. Every breath, every choice, every step forward is proof of it. There comes a moment when the world stops testing you and starts revealing you. When every battle, every sleepless night, every tear shed in silence starts to make sense. It's the moment you realize that all the chaos wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to build you, to strip away everything that was never truly you, until only truth remained. You were never meant to stay broken. You were meant to rise from the fire with eyes that see clearer and a heart that beats stronger.